I secretly followed my husband after seeing a strange message. My heart stopped when he entered that house. A woman opened the door, smiling warmly. Kids called him Daddy. I felt sick, but what happened next completely changed my life forever. Hi, I'm Lisa, and this is the story of how my perfect world came crashing down in a single day. For 10 beautiful years, I believed I had it all. An amazing husband named Mike, 2 adorable kids, and a home filled with laughter and warmth. Every morning began with coffee brewing, the sun gently streaming through the kitchen window, and my heart filled with gratitude for this life I'd built. Mike was my first love, my best friend, and my partner in everything. We met in college, and from that moment, I never looked back. We married young, passionate, and idealistic, believing that nothing could ever shake our bond. Mike was charming, attentive, and hardworking. He was the kind of husband who always remembered our anniversary and knew exactly how I liked my coffee: 2 sugars, a splash of cream, just enough sweetness to start my day right. We shared dreams, fears, and endless laughter. Together, we built a home filled with love and laughter, welcoming 2 amazing children, Emma and Jake, into our lives. It felt like a dream come true. But then came the day that changed everything. It started just like any other morning: bright sunlight streaming through our bedroom curtains, the faint laughter of our kids downstairs, and the smell of freshly brewed coffee drifting through the air. Mike kissed my forehead gently before heading out the door to work, whispering his usual, "I love you, Lisa. See you tonight?" I smiled, unaware it would be the last peaceful moment I'd experienced for a long time. After getting the kids ready and sending them off to school, I found myself alone in the quiet house. I poured myself another cup of coffee and settled onto the couch, casually picking up Mike's phone he'd accidentally left behind. My fingers traced the familiar outline of the device, and a gentle ping caught my attention. A message lit up the screen. "Can't wait to see you tonight. I've missed you." My heart skipped a beat, and I felt an instant tightening in my chest. Who could that be? I reassured myself that there had to be some mistake, maybe a wrong number or a misunderstanding. But curiosity, fueled by a sudden surge of dread, got the better of me. With trembling hands, I opened the message thread. There it was, clear as day, an exchange filled with intimate words and tender promises from a name I'd never heard before: Emma. My head spun as disbelief turned to nausea. It couldn't be true. Mike would never betray me, our kids, our entire life together. But the evidence in my hands was undeniable. My breathing grew shallow, panic gripping my chest as countless questions flooded my mind. I placed the phone down, feeling weak and uncertain about what to do next. Hours felt like years as I paced around the house, trying to convince myself there had to be some explanation, a misunderstanding. But deep down, an uncomfortable truth was forming in the pit of my stomach. My husband, the love of my life, had been hiding something terrible. I spent the entire day wrestling with myself, trapped in a haze of fear and confusion. I went through a roller coaster of emotions: anger, sadness, betrayal, each wave stronger than the last. By the time Mike returned home, smiling warmly as he walked through the door, I was barely holding myself together. I forced a smile, asking about his day, watching carefully for any hint of deception. But his eyes met mine warmly, no hint of guilt in his expression. It was terrifying how effortlessly he wore this mask. My heart ached as I wondered how long he'd been deceiving me: days, months, years? Every smile, every kiss suddenly felt tainted, poisoned by doubt. That evening I lay beside Mike, wide awake, pretending to sleep. His breathing was calm, peaceful. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every memory we had built together, questioning its authenticity. The gentle husband who'd comforted me through childbirth, who held my hand through our toughest moments, who promised me forever, could it all be a lie? Morning finally came, but I felt no relief. Instead, I woke up determined to uncover the truth, whatever it took. My perfect life had shattered, but I needed to know just how deep this betrayal went. Little did I know this was only the beginning. The following morning felt surreal, as if I'd awoken in someone else's nightmare. Mike left for work early, oblivious to the turmoil churning within me. His kiss on my cheek felt cold, empty, a haunting reminder of the reality I now faced. Alone again, the walls of our cozy home closed in, suffocating me with painful thoughts and unanswered questions. Hours dragged by an agonizing silence. The memories of yesterday's discovery replayed endlessly in my mind, each detail sharper and more painful than the last. I paced through the rooms of our home, searching desperately for clues I'd missed, signs that Mike had been living a double life right under my nose. Every family photo, every memento now seemed sinister, tainted by the possibility that it was all an elaborate lie. I knew I needed answers, but confronting Mike head-on felt terrifying. Instead, I found myself drawn back to his phone, still lying innocently on the kitchen counter, untouched since yesterday's nightmare unfolded. My fingers hovered hesitantly before finally picking it up, knowing full well I might uncover more than I could bear. My heartbeat quickened as I opened the messages again. This time I went deeper, scrolling through months of messages between Mike and the mysterious Emma. My vision blurred as I read their sweet exchanges, declarations of love, and intimate plans. Anger and hurt surged through me with each word, building an unbearable tension inside me. I realized then I couldn't just sit and wait. I needed to know the full extent of Mike's betrayal, how deep it went, how long he'd deceived me. Driven by an irresistible urge, I began scouring the house, searching for any hidden evidence of Mike's second life. I sifted through closets, drawers, and cabinets, my desperation growing with each passing minute. It wasn't until I reached Mike's home office that I found what I'd been subconsciously searching for. Hidden beneath a stack of papers inside his desk drawer was a small envelope filled with receipts from restaurants, jewelry stores, even vacation spots I'd never visited. My hands shook violently as I realized the truth. Mike had been living two lives, meticulously hiding one from the other. Suddenly, every late-night meeting, every work trip, every suspicious phone call made sickening sense. He'd woven a masterful web of lies, each thread tighter and more binding than the last. My world, once vibrant and secure, now felt dark and unstable. As the afternoon wore on, dread consumed me. How could I confront him with all of this? What would happen to our children, our family, our entire life? The thought of destroying everything we had built made my stomach churn, yet living with these lies felt impossible. I was trapped between fear and a desperate need for truth. Finally, exhausted emotionally and physically, I sank onto our bed, clutching the receipts like evidence in a tragic trial. I stared at the ceiling, tears silently streaming down my face, contemplating my next move. I couldn't pretend everything was fine, not anymore. But I also feared losing everything, watching my family crumble beneath the weight of Mike's betrayal. Nightfall brought Mike back home, smiling warmly as he walked through the door, completely unaware of the storm raging inside me. He hugged our children, kissed me lightly, and chatted casually about his day. Every word he spoke felt hollow, each smile a painful mockery. Throughout dinner, I watched him carefully, desperate for any sign of guilt or remorse. But Mike was charming as ever, laughing with the kids and exchanging playful banter as if nothing had changed. I wanted to scream, to throw the receipts across the table and demand answers, but fear held me captive. I was terrified of the chaos it would unleash. After putting the kids to bed, silence enveloped the house again. Mike, sensing something off in my demeanor, asked gently if I was okay. His concern, genuine or not, broke the last fragile thread holding me together. Unable to keep the facade any longer, I quietly asked him about the strange message from yesterday, watching carefully for his reaction. His smile faded slightly, replaced with a quick, casual dismissal, claiming it was just a coworker texting the wrong number. His ease at lying so effortlessly sent chills down my spine. But this time I was prepared. I pressed him further, mentioning Emma by name. His expression shifted instantly, panic flickering briefly in his eyes. "Who is Emma, Mike?" My voice was steadier than I felt, barely masking the tremors of anger and hurt beneath the surface. He hesitated, a shadow passing over his face, quickly replaced by a reassuring smile. "Emma is nobody, Lisa," he insisted gently. "You're imagining things." The gaslighting stung deeply, fueling a surge of anger stronger than I'd ever felt. I wanted to yell, confront him with every piece of evidence I'd gathered, but something stopped me. Perhaps fear, perhaps disbelief that this was truly happening. Instead, I stared at him, disappointment and pain evident in my eyes. Mike, sensing he hadn't convinced me, reached out gently, but I stepped back instinctively. Confusion briefly clouded his features before he retreated, sighing deeply. "Lisa, trust me. There's nothing to worry about," he said softly, pleadingly. But trust was something he'd shattered completely. That night, lying beside him, pretending to sleep, I made a silent vow. I would uncover the entire truth, no matter how painful or difficult it became. My life had changed forever, and I would no longer live in his shadow of deceit. As morning broke, my resolve hardened. Today, I'd follow him, determined to witness his betrayal firsthand. Little did Mike know, the web of lies he'd carefully constructed was about to unravel completely, and I would be there to see it happen. The drive felt endless as I followed Mike's car through the unfamiliar streets, my heart pounding like it might burst through my chest at any moment. Every turn he made tightened the knot in my stomach. The rational side of me whispered to turn back, but a stronger, almost primal need pushed me forward. I had to see it with my own eyes, no matter how painful. Mike finally slowed down, turning into a quiet neighborhood I'd never visited before. It was picturesque, like something straight out of a movie, lined with neat rows of trees and perfect family homes, each one mocking my now shattered idea of happiness. My hands trembled on the steering wheel as I parked discreetly, heart hammering in my chest as Mike casually stepped out of his car. I could hardly believe what I was doing, spying on my own husband, the person I'd trusted more than anyone else in the world. From the safety of my car, I watched, hidden by shadows, as Mike walked toward a charming blue house with white shutters and flower boxes under every window. He paused at the front door, adjusting his tie with a comfort and familiarity that made me feel sick. I held my breath, silently begging for this to all be some terrible mistake, a nightmare I would wake from at any moment. But the door opened, shattering any hope I'd clung to. Standing there was a woman I'd never seen, smiling broadly, her eyes sparkling with genuine happiness as she leaned in to greet him warmly. The intimacy of their embrace crushed me, but what followed tore my heart from my chest. Two small children ran eagerly toward Mike, throwing their arms around him, calling out, "Daddy." At that moment, my entire world collapsed. I felt like I was suffocating, tears pouring uncontrollably down my face as I watched the scene unfold. Mike scooped up the youngest child, spinning her in the air, laughing, a laugh I'd heard thousands of times, a laugh I'd thought belonged only to our family. The woman, Emma, I assumed, stood smiling, watching fondly, completely unaware of the devastation her happiness caused me. How could he have created an entire life, another family, hidden from me for so long? My mind raced, desperately searching for explanations, trying to understand how this could have happened. Had I been blind all these years? How many late nights at work, sudden business trips, or weekend meetings had been lies covering up moments like this? I wanted to run away, disappear from this nightmare. Yet, a strange, painful curiosity compelled me to stay, forcing myself to witness every heartbreaking second. I watched them laugh and play, watched Mike lift the younger child, a girl no older than my daughter, spinning her around as she giggled loudly. I was frozen, unable to tear my eyes away from the scene unfolding before me. Suddenly, Mike turned slightly, facing toward my car, and I panicked, my heart pounding violently. I ducked instinctively, pressing myself down into the seat, terrified he'd spotted me. Minutes passed slowly as I lay there, my heart pounding in my ears, gasping quietly as reality crushed down on me again. After a moment that felt like eternity, I carefully lifted my head, seeing Mike again fully absorbed with his secret family, completely oblivious to my presence. For hours I remained there, torturing myself with every loving gesture, every happy moment, each one driving the dagger deeper into my heart. Day turned to dusk, the soft glow from the windows casting warm, inviting shadows onto the lawn. Eventually, Mike came outside once more, embracing the woman tenderly and kissing the children goodbye. My stomach twisted into knots as I recognized the look of love and warmth in his eyes, exactly how he looked at me every day. As he drove away, I sat paralyzed, torn between anger, sorrow, and complete devastation. The realization that this had been happening, unnoticed by me, felt like a brutal blow to my identity as a wife, a mother, a woman. How had I not noticed the signs? How could I have been so naive? The drive home was a blur. My head spun with visions of what I'd witnessed, my mind incapable of processing the depth of this betrayal. Pulling into my driveway, the familiar sight of my home felt alien, empty. It was no longer the safe haven I'd known, it was now just another lie. Inside, I collapsed onto the living room floor, finally allowing myself to cry openly, a gut-wrenching, anguished sob that shook my entire body. The house, once full of laughter and warmth, now felt cold and hollow, mocking me with the memories of what I thought we had. That night, sleep eluded me completely. I lay in bed alone, staring at the ceiling as endless questions tormented me. How long had Mike been leading this double life? Did he love them more than us? Was our entire marriage a facade? My heart ached for my children, unaware of the storm about to rip their lives apart. Anger, grief, and shame battled inside me, each emotion leaving scars I wasn't sure would ever heal. As dawn approached, clarity slowly emerged through the fog of pain. I knew one thing with absolute certainty. I couldn't live this lie, not even for another day. It was time to confront Mike, to hear his excuses, his reasons, and his truth from his own lips. Whatever it cost me, whatever pain I had to endure, I needed the answers, even if it meant destroying everything I had ever known. As the sun rose, so did my resolve. No longer would I be a silent victim of his deceit. Today, everything would change. That evening, every second stretched into eternity as I waited anxiously for Mike to come home. My heart thundered in my chest, each heartbeat echoing louder than the last. I sat motionless in the living room, barely breathing, replaying the image of his secret family over and over in my mind. Anger surged through my veins, mixed with disbelief and pain. How could the man I loved and trusted, the father of my children, do something so cruel, so calculated? When the front door finally opened, a chill ran down my spine. Mike entered, a carefree smile lighting up his face, completely unaware of the hurricane waiting for him inside. Seeing his familiar expression felt like salt in an open wound. His casual demeanor ignited a fire within me, fueled by betrayal and years of trust reduced to ashes. "Hey, honey," he greeted me warmly, leaning in for a casual kiss. I pulled back sharply, causing confusion to cloud his face momentarily. My expression must have revealed something because his smile faded into a concerned frown. "Lisa, are you all right? You look pale." I stared back at him, trying desperately to hold my voice steady. "We need to talk, Mike. Now." His expression shifted slightly, guarded but still calm. "Sure, what's going on?" Without another word, I took out my phone, my hands trembling as I opened the pictures I'd taken earlier that day, the images of his secret family, frozen forever in moments of happiness I'd never been part of. I turned the phone toward him, watching carefully as his eyes scanned the screen. Mike's face went white, his eyes widening in shock and panic. He froze, visibly shaken, struggling to speak as he looked from the photos back to me. The mask he'd worn for so long shattered instantly. "Who is she? Who are they, Mike?" My voice cracked, raw with emotion. Mike took a step back, visibly shaken, his eyes wide with fear. For the first time in our marriage, he was truly vulnerable. "Lisa. It's not what it looks like." "Don't you dare," I snapped, tears now flooding my eyes, blurring my vision. "I saw you with my own eyes, Mike. I watched you laugh with her, kiss her, hold your other children. How long? How long have you been lying to me?" He hesitated, every second stretching painfully, then finally sighed heavily. "Almost our entire marriage," he whispered, his voice filled with shame. "I'm sorry. You're sorry." Anger erupted inside me, fierce and uncontrollable. 10 years, Mike. 10 years. How could you betray us like this?" "Lisa, please, let me explain," he begged desperately. "Explain what, Mike?" "How you deceived me day after day, night after night. How you pretended to love me and our children while living a completely separate life with another woman. What could you possibly say to justify that?" He hung his head, defeated. "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did. You destroyed everything, Mike," I yelled, my voice breaking under the weight of my pain. "You've broken everything we built. You've shattered my trust, destroyed our family." Mike reached out, trying to touch me, but I recoiled, my eyes filled with disgust and heartbreak. "Don't touch me," I whispered fiercely. "You've lost that, right?" His expression crumbled, shoulders slumping as tears filled his eyes. "Lisa, please." "No," I interrupted sharply, every word laced with grief and determination. "You don't get to plead now. You made your choice long ago. You chose a life without me. Now you have to face the consequences." We stood there, the silence between us deafening, heavy with years of lies. Our life together had unraveled completely in just a few devastating moments. There was no turning back. Finally, I turned away from him, walking toward the door. "Tomorrow, we'll figure out how to tell the kids. Tonight, pack your things. You're no longer welcome here." As I closed the bedroom door behind me, I heard his muffled sobs echoing softly through the empty halls of what used to be our happy home. Despite my pain, a sense of resolve settled within me. My heart was broken, but for the first time I felt truly strong. It was time to reclaim my life without him. Days passed by in a blur of heartache and confusion. Every morning felt heavier than the last, each sunrise bringing with it a fresh wave of pain. My life, once filled with warmth and laughter, was now overshadowed by betrayal. Mike had moved out, leaving behind only echoes of his presence. A shadow in photographs, an empty space at the dinner table, and unanswered questions from our confused children. Every day became a battle to maintain normalcy for Emma and Jake, to shield them from the devastation unraveling our family. I wore a brave face, reassuring them that everything would be all right, though my heart was breaking silently inside. Their innocent eyes filled with questions I couldn't answer tore me apart more than anything else. The house felt empty, haunted by memories I now doubted were real. Family photos, holiday decorations, and souvenirs of happier days mocked me from every corner. I started removing them, one by one, trying to erase the pain. Yet each action only intensified the void left by Mike's betrayal. Just as I thought the pain couldn't possibly deepen, my phone buzzed softly beside me late one evening. My heart raced, fearing another painful revelation, but curiosity urged me to check. The unfamiliar number glowed ominously on my screen, and my fingers hesitated briefly before finally answering. "Hello." My voice trembled, barely above a whisper. "Lisa?" A soft, hesitant female voice responded, filled with nervous uncertainty. "This is Emma." The name sent chills down my spine. My hands shook as anger surged through my veins. But before I could unleash my fury, she spoke again. Her voice gentle and filled with genuine vulnerability. "Please don't hang up. I had no idea about you. Mike lied to me, too." I froze, the sincerity in her voice unexpected and disarming. Silence lingered between us, heavy with shared pain. Finally, I found my voice again, cautious yet strangely curious. "What do you want, Emma?" Her response was immediate and heartfelt. "I just wanted to talk, to understand, to tell you my side of this nightmare. I never intended to hurt you. I swear, Lisa." I sighed deeply, feeling tears welling up again. Against every instinct screaming at me to end the call, I sensed genuine remorse in her words. Reluctantly, I agreed to meet her, driven by an aching need to understand the extent of Mike's deception. We chose a quiet cafe, neutral ground for a meeting neither of us had imagined. My heart pounded nervously as I entered, spotting Emma immediately. She was nothing like I'd imagined. Her face tired, eyes reflecting the same devastation and betrayal I felt. It was oddly comforting, knowing I wasn't the only one suffering. We spoke hesitantly at first, both cautious, each sentence guarded. But slowly, walls began to fall, revealing startling similarities in our stories. Emma shared how she'd met Mike years ago, believing she'd found her soulmate, unaware he already had a family. Every late-night phone call, weekend getaway, and special occasion Mike missed with us suddenly made painful sense. As she spoke, tears filled her eyes, mirroring my own grief. The woman I'd initially seen as a rival was now just another victim, manipulated by the man we both loved. Our conversation flowed for hours, each revelation deepening our bond and healing our wounded hearts. In Emma, I discovered an unexpected ally, someone who truly understood the depth of my pain. It was strange and uncomfortable, but also comforting. We had both been betrayed profoundly, yet neither of us was alone anymore. Eventually, our conversation shifted from sorrow to determination. Emma and I realized we had the power to reclaim our dignity, to rise above Mike's deception together. We made a pact to support each other through the turmoil, determined to expose Mike's lies and take back control of our lives. Walking away from that cafe, I felt a newfound strength. Yes, Mike had shattered my trust, my heart, and my family, but he hadn't broken me. For the first time in days, I felt a spark of hope, ignited by an unlikely friendship born from the ashes of betrayal. Together, Emma and I would face the storm ahead. Mike had underestimated us both, but we would prove to him and ourselves that we were stronger than his lies. In the days following my conversation with Emma, we formed an unexpected yet comforting bond. It was surreal, two women, strangers united by the same man's deceit, becoming allies. What initially felt unimaginable soon became my lifeline. Emma and I began meeting frequently, each conversation drawing us closer and empowering us in ways I'd never anticipated. At first, sitting across from her felt uncomfortable, even surreal. She represented everything I'd feared, another life, another love, but as we shared our pain and discoveries, I realized we were both casualties of Mike's manipulative games. Emma had suffered deeply, too, genuinely believing she'd found the man of her dreams, completely unaware of the reality hidden behind his charming smile. We began piecing together the tangled timeline of his deception, and with each revelation, our anger intensified. It turned out Mike had carefully balanced his lies, convincing each of us we were his one true love. He had celebrated milestones, anniversaries, birthdays, and family vacations with both of us, skillfully avoiding suspicion for years. Every revelation tore at my heart, but Emma's presence gave me strength. Her resilience was contagious, inspiring me to face reality head-on rather than collapse beneath its weight. She had a warmth and empathy that surprised me. Far from the imagined villain, Emma was simply another woman who had loved too deeply and trusted too freely. Soon, our meetings shifted from shared grief to determined planning. We agreed that Mike's deception couldn't continue unchecked. He had destroyed our trust, shattered our lives, and manipulated our families. His betrayal had to be exposed openly and honestly. No more hiding, no more secrets. One evening, over coffee and a sense of newfound purpose, we devised a bold plan. Emma's eyes shone with determination as she suggested we confront Mike publicly, ensuring he could never deceive anyone again. My stomach twisted nervously at the thought, yet the idea also filled me with an unfamiliar sense of empowerment. It was terrifying, yes, but also incredibly liberating. We spent days meticulously planning every detail. Emma and I would confront Mike together, publicly, in a setting where he couldn't escape or lie his way out. We agreed his office would be ideal, a space where he'd carefully constructed an image of integrity and reliability. Our confrontation there would send a powerful, unmistakable message. As our plan came together, Emma and I grew closer. Strangely, despite our painful connection, we became genuine friends. I admired her strength, compassion, and honesty. She became the sister I never knew I needed, a partner in navigating this unimaginable storm. Our shared tragedy had given birth to an unexpected friendship, stronger and deeper than anything I'd imagined possible. Days turned into weeks, our bond strengthening through each planning session and shared story. We supported each other emotionally, discovering hidden strengths within ourselves, strengths Mike had unknowingly brought forth through his betrayal. The night before our confrontation, Emma and I met once more, nerves mingling with determination. We reassured each other, knowing tomorrow would be painful yet necessary, the ultimate step toward reclaiming control of our lives. We promised to stand strong, to never waver, to see this through to the very end. As we parted ways, I felt a profound gratitude for Emma. She had turned from an enemy to a trusted friend, someone who understood my pain like no one else ever could. With her by my side, I felt unstoppable. I returned home, heart racing with anticipation, fear, and determination. Tomorrow, everything would change. Mike would finally face the consequences of his actions, and Emma and I would reclaim our power. Together, united by betrayal yet stronger than ever, we were ready for whatever came next. The morning of our confrontation dawned with a blend of anxiety and courage I'd never experienced before. My heart thundered in my chest, adrenaline pulsing through my veins. I dressed carefully, deliberately choosing an outfit that made me feel strong and confident. A stark contrast to the insecurity I'd felt since discovering Mike's betrayal. Today wasn't about revenge. It was about reclaiming my life, my dignity, and my future. Emma met me outside Mike's office building, her eyes reflecting the same fierce determination that had become our shared strength. A silent nod was all we needed to reassure each other. We were ready for this. As we entered the building, each step echoed loudly, symbolizing our resolve to finally break free from Mike's web of lies. We stepped into the bustling office space, eyes immediately turning toward us in curiosity. Mike stood near his desk, chatting with coworkers, laughing comfortably, completely unaware his world was about to implode. The sight of his familiar, confident demeanor sparked a fire inside me, extinguishing any lingering doubt. As Mike's eyes met ours, shock and confusion instantly flashed across his face. He quickly composed himself, forcing a smile. "Lisa? Emma? What are you two doing here?" His attempt to play innocent ignited the anger I'd been suppressing. "We're here because you owe us answers, Mike. You owe us the truth." The office fell silent, every pair of eyes now fixed upon us. Mike shifted uncomfortably, visibly rattled yet still desperately clinging to his facade. "This isn't the place to talk about personal matters," he said weakly, attempting to regain control. "It ends here, Mike," Emma interjected firmly, stepping forward. "You've deceived both of us, lied to your children, betrayed your families. We're done living in your lies." Murmurs spread quickly through the office. Mike's colleagues looked shocked, their eyes darting between us, piecing together the scandal unfolding before them. Mike's face flushed with embarrassment, anger, and panic as he realized he'd lost control of the situation. "Let's talk somewhere private," Mike pleaded quietly, desperation clear in his voice. "No," I answered firmly, finding my voice stronger than ever. "You hid this publicly, so you'll face it publicly. Everyone here deserves to know who you truly are." Emma stepped beside me, her voice unwavering. "You spent years making us believe we were special, loved, cherished. Yet it was all a game to you. We're not your victims anymore, Mike. We deserve better than your betrayal." He stared at us in disbelief, panic etched deeply into his features. For the first time, Mike had no clever lies, no charming smiles, no escape. The truth stood in front of him, raw and undeniable. "I'm sorry," he whispered desperately, visibly shaken. "I never wanted to hurt either of you." I shook my head, strength growing with each passing moment. "Your apologies mean nothing now. You've destroyed everything, and now everyone can see who you truly are." His shoulders slumped in defeat, eyes cast downward, as murmurs in the room intensified. Emma and I exchanged a silent glance, knowing we had finally reclaimed our power from Mike's manipulation. As we turned to leave, colleagues approached us, offering support and sympathy, their reactions validating the justice of our actions. Stepping outside into the sunlight felt liberating, as if we'd emerged from darkness into freedom. Emma grasped my hand tightly, and in that moment, I knew I'd gained a true friend, one who had seen the worst and stood by my side. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, Emma and I began rebuilding our lives, supported by our newfound friendship and mutual strength. Our children bonded too, finding comfort in each other's company, helping ease the pain inflicted by their father's lies. Mike, stripped of his carefully constructed illusions, faded from our lives, becoming nothing more than a painful memory. We learned to laugh again, reclaiming joy in moments previously overshadowed by deceit. Together, Emma and I discovered resilience we never knew existed within us. Through our shared pain, we built a future brighter than either of us could have imagined. The betrayal, though devastating, became a powerful catalyst for growth, strength, and genuine happiness. Yet, despite everything, one lingering question haunted me late at night. How could someone so deeply loved become capable of such profound betrayal? Could anyone truly know another person completely? This uncertainty, though unsettling, reminded me daily of my strength. Mike had broken our hearts, but he hadn't broken us. Emma and I emerged from the wreckage stronger than ever, two women united by betrayal, empowered by truth, determined never again to be victims. And so we moved forward together, heads held high, hearts slowly healing, forever changed but finally free.